Welcome everybody to Not Enough MP. We are going to start this episode off today with introducing all our characters. So I am your host, Nick. So we're going to start off going to a quiet little forest on the Terra region, and we're going to introduce you to our Mandragora.
My name is M8, a one-leaf Mandragoran who wants nothing but to make everyone happy and to make them my friend. At a young age, I escaped the Terrarian Empire by falling from one of their airships. This is the last thing I can remember. Before falling into the sacred garden of the city of Fauna. Fauna, a city run by sylphs and plants, quickly became my home and its citizens my family. The entire city is given life by the Great One, a super smart treant who stands in the sacred garden. Two sylphs, the protectors of the Great One, took me in as their child and taught me their ways, from the city's rules to how to protect myself. After years of training and making friends, I've decided it's time to leave Fauna with my best friend Bean. I want to make more friends, find my past memories, and get some answers. And watch out, Terrarian Army, 'cause after you see my smile, all you'll be seeing is red.
Okay, so right now we are currently in Fauna. As you said, it is a village run by plants and sylphs. Describe to me kind of what it looks like.
Fauna is a lush village. There's bouquets of flowers everywhere. There are plant creatures walking all over the place, interacting with sylphs. It's one of the most beautiful places you could think of. There's petals going everywhere. There's always a gentle breeze and sun coming down for everyone to enjoy. It's a circular village surrounding one huge garden that carries our leader, the Great One, a treant who is of high intelligence, who protects us and keeps our village lush and alive.
Beautiful. All right, and what is M8 doing right now?
M8, knowing him wanting to get off this island from being here for such a long time of his life, is getting ready to leave and be on his own. Of course, with his best friend Bean, they are looking to go on adventures and make friends, but not before saying goodbye to their prior ones.
So I imagine that Ima and Alia are kind of like prepping the house and like putting together a little lunch bag for you, and they're just like frantically running about. Like
their protective ways have carried over as my parents.
Yeah. So Ima comes up to you and she goes,
"Okay, mate. Are you ready for your journey to the Terrarian capital?"
"As ready as I'll ever be. I've got my trusty axe, my best friend, and my biggest smile."
"That's wonderful. Just please, for the love of God, don't lose Bean again. Like, we don't have enough people in the village to keep looking for him. And, like, once you get into that bigger outer world, you're just not going to be able to, like, you just don't lose him. For the love of God, please don't lose him."
"I'll never lose Bean. Speaking of, do you know where he is right now?"
"Oh, God. Maybe you should go and see the great treant. Maybe he's seen him."
"Good idea." So I bring up my little pack attached to a stick. I bring my axe, carrying it almost like a baton, and I make my way towards the door of my house.
Okay. So as you like head towards the door, Alia comes like barging in from the other side, almost bashing into you. Make a reflex save.
No. My parents have betrayed me. 16.
Okay, so you're pretty used to this. Alia is probably a little absent-minded.
She's rash.
Yeah. So she comes like bursting in through the door, and it's almost like timed. Like you're like, wait for it, and you count 5 seconds, and then you back up, and the door flies open. She goes, Oh, M8, I am so sorry. I almost hit you again with this door. I am so sorry. I should really put a window in. I've been planning on doing it for a while. I'm so sorry.
Nothing I'm not used to. I say this with my biggest smile still across my face.
Oh, she floats over and kind of like pats you on the head, and she goes, "Oh, you are so adorable. You're just the light of my life, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do when you leave." And she kind of starts tearing up.
I have an objective, so I kind of just like walk along. M8 is used to making people happy, but on the other side, he's not very empathetic. He doesn't feel sadness. It's always smiles.
Oh, okay. So as he like walks up the door, she just like holds her mouth and goes, and she kind of floats off. And Yuma's just like, not again. Like, just calm down. He'll be fine. He's always fine. Anyways, be careful on your way to the Great Tree End.
I will.
Since the Trienta is right smack dab in the middle of the village, I don't imagine it takes you too long to get there.
It's essentially like basically from my door. It's like door, and then there's like gates all around this village that lead into this middle part. People want to talk to the Great One all the time with his wisdom.
Okay, so describe what the Great Treant looks like.
The Great Treant is a really, really dark bark. He's like within a very rich soil. He's grown to be bigger than the houses itself. He stands easily a good 4 times the size of the normal village houses within this place. He's huge. Upon him, there's fruits, there's even vegetables, there's all kinds of things growing from him. Things that even logically shouldn't grow on him from how much power he has.
Okay. So, once you get there, you kind of see like the wind pick up around it, kind of gesturing that he's aware of your presence. And he goes, M8, what brings you to my courtyard?
I may have lost Bean again, and I can't find him.
No worries, young one. It appears that he has made a nest once again on my lowest branch.
I do a little whistle for him. He knows it's me. We've been together for as long as I've been there.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so as soon as you whistle, you just see like...
He's a little tree and sapling. He's just a little plump thing.
Okay, so you see that like kind of make a little chirping noise, like, and you kind of see him like slide down this little piece of the trunk and like slides it down right in front of your feet,
like the staircase is going down the side.
Yeah. He goes, M8, there's something I need to tell you before you take off on your journeys.
Oh boy, another tale. Let's see it.
I can't quite remember if my old age is kicking in, but I may have told you the story once before, but I must tell you again, because for the life of me, I can't remember if I've told you. But you are the chosen one of this island. It is so told in prophecy that a one-leafed being would fall from the skies, and that being would one day save our village from a tragedy that is soon to behold.
And so, while he's telling this story, I'm kind of sitting there, kind of just like hugging Bean. I'm not paying like any sorts of mind. I've sort of heard like chosen one leaf, protect. But in the end, I'm so absent-minded.
Beautiful. Okay, so like he doesn't seem to notice that you're not paying attention because he's old, his eyesight's not really all there, and he's a tree. Yeah. So after that happens, Bean looks pretty like rambunctious, and he's starting to get a little antsy. Like he's raring to go. He wants to start going.
He knows.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, I go and plop up my bag again over my shoulder, and I get on top of Bean to make an exit, but not before. Thank you, Mr. Great One, for everything you've done for me.
Of course, Bean. It has been a pleasure having you in this village.
I'm M8.
Sorry. I am old. My memory is terrible. M8, it's been a pleasure having you. Being more so because he's more my style.
And it was a pleasure being here. And so I start making my way towards the gate to leave the sacred garden.
Okay. So once you leave the gate and start getting to like the outskirts of the village, you start hearing some airship noises kind of hovering from above. And you kind of hear some like crashing down below you, like just on as you reach like the outskirts of the village. And as you're leaving, a Ronso in silver armor that covers him from the shoulders down walks past you. He also has like a insignia of a spearhead that has light shining off of it on both of his shoulder blades. And his Ronso horn is a little different. It looks like it's kind of deformed. So like right as the point comes out, about halfway up that point, it looks like a secondary horn has started growing from it. He just kind of like stomps past you and doesn't seem to pay any attention to you. Also, you start seeing a bunch of other soldiers in silver armor kind of start coming down from the sky off of these airships.
I noticed this. Something in the back of my head plays, going, I've heard these noises before, as I have fallen out of an airship, but I can't quite put it on my mind. But the one thing that does play on my mind is that Mr. over there walked past me without saying hello, and I need to go see him. So I turn around and I make my way towards him again.
Okay, so as you're walking towards him, like, you're having a hard time keeping up because he's like 3 times your height and his legs are quite a bit longer.
Go, Bean, go!
It's okay, so you mount Bean and you start smacking him on the ass to try and get that speed to catch up to him. And you come like barreling around and stop right in front of him.
Hello, sir. I do not think that we have met. I am M8. And I put out like my little like thin hand.
He just kind of like grunts at you like a... and he just kind of boots you off to the side with his foot. And he just keeps walking.
That wasn't very nice. You could sort of see, like, the vein kind of poke out of my head. It looks like I'll have to be a bit more assertive. And I start running my way towards him.
Okay, so once again, you come barreling past him and stop right in front of him again.
Well, sir, it seems like you misplaced your foot into the side of my head. My name is M8, and I would like to be your friend. And Bean's kind of, like, standing behind me, sort of, like, it looks like it's trying to cheer me on.
Okay. So he, like, stares down at you, and he goes, "It's a pleasure to meet you. A pain in the ass." And he kind of reaches his hand out, and he, like, grabs your hand, and he, like, squeezes, like, with a really intense grip, like, really strong. And he lifts you off the ground, shakes you once and twice up and down, and then throws you behind him.
Can I do a reflex save?
Yes.
I got a 20.
Okay, yeah, so you, like, spiral through the air, and you land directly right onto Bean's back. Like, he just sprints, sees you coming, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to catch him, I'm going to catch him." And this, like, little leaf that he has for a tail is, like, waving back and forth. Like, catches you perfectly underneath.
Okay. So then I make one last attempt, and I run even faster this time to catch him right in front of the gate, because I would assume that's the only reason why anyone would be here, is to go and see, obviously, the smartest one of our village. So I run towards him, go in front of him, and I go for that one last handshake, but with a bit of a bitter intent now that I know this man might not be so friendly. So I put out my hand one more time, awaiting his hand to grab mine.
Okay, he doesn't seem to be looking directly at you when you do it this time. Like, he's just more or less so annoyed that you just keep coming back no matter all his attempts. And you hear a bunch of footsteps come out from behind you, and I imagine you turn around to look at them, and you see 5 other people in these silver armored suits wearing the exact same insignia as this Ronso has. And they're like, "Sir, we've acquired it. It's best that we get out of here as soon as possible." And he goes, "Right, we must make haste before I kill this thing, and we have more tragedies than we need." And they kind of hold out this little shining seed. It has like a yellow aura kind of coming off of it. You instantly will recognize this as the Treant's sapling, and the Ronso reaches out and grabs it and turns around and starts walking away as they follow, and an airship starts coming down in the distance ready to pick them up.
Well, At this moment, because I know that my friendship has been betrayed, and no one betrays M8's friendship, I pick up the closest pot that I can find, because there's pots everywhere. It's plants that like galore around here. I pick up this pot, and I absolutely just chuck it towards this Ronso.
Okay, roll a to hit. The -4 penalty, because this pot's probably like pretty heavy to you.
This pot's the size of my head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I'm kind of pissed. What am I rolling for? 20 and what?
Roll it to hit.
It's not 20.
Okay.
Okay.
So you like pick up this pot and like that vein on your head is just like pulsating. There's like steam flying off your head, and you just whip this thing with like such a ferocity, and it barrels into the back of this Ronso's head, and he just like whips around, and his eyes have like pretty much beaming red, and he comes up to you and basically lifts you up off the ground, kicks Bean, and he goes like barreling through the gate back into the village, and he holds you up to his face and he goes, "I swear to God, I am trying my best to make sure that your life does not end here. I strongly suggest you back away and end this now."
Well, that would be all well and good, friend. You see, my name's M8. I protect this village with my parents. My friends call me Mate, and I'm trying my best right now to not break your bloody skull. Now, return what you have stolen.
You want it that badly? You'll have to come back to the Empire and get it. And then,
okay.
Then he whips you into your village. Make a reflex save with your like ridiculously good rolls.
16.
Okay.
Well, 21.
So, Bean manages to like get himself back situated and sees you flying again, and he manages to catch you right underneath, like right at the stump of the elder tree. But by the time like you guys are able to start moving again, you see that they're already climbing onto the airship and it's already starting to take off. But upon that, make a perception check.
15.
Okay, so you notice some yellow leaves start falling off of the great tree end, which has never happened before. It's always been lush and green.
My eyes, even for a mandragora, kind of bulge. Like, they're taking up like the size of my head at this moment. It's not something I've seen. I've been on this island for years, as long as I can remember, which, to be fair, isn't much. So I immediately make it back to my house, and I call for my parents. "Oh, parents of mine, bad things are happening. The Great One is in need of help." Ima
and Aaliyah come like barreling through and like, what's wrong? What do you mean?
"Bad people, throw pot, take seed, yellow leaves." I'm out of breath at this point. I've dodged, I've landed on beans so many times. Like, there's only so much more moving I can do in this short body.
Okay, so they go barreling outside, and they're in like a huge huff and a panic. And you see like all the other sylphs have also managed to pick up on this, and they've all started like gravitating towards the center as if they're feeling something is wrong and amiss. And at this moment, Ima is known as one of the strongest elders and the one that has probably the strongest attachment to the tree. And as soon as like 10 leaves hit the ground, you see Ima start to weaken, and she starts to like kind of drift down. I run up to her. As much as I've been accustomed to only feeling happiness, I can obviously see something's wrong with my adopted parents. I've never seen her in this position before. So I run to her and I catch her. Okay. So as soon as you get her in your arms, she's like, "Oh, M8, I don't know what's happening. My strength seems to be leaving me. You need to go and get that seed back." "But I don't even know where I should..." And then I sort of, take in what the Ronso said. I wasn't really listening to the Ronso and he was really talking. I was more thinking of how rude. But then the whole, Terrarian Empire, like, coming to this place, I started thinking, it's like... And so I asked the other sylphs, where is this place? Is it somewhere that I know? "Yes, it's a place called Tenshar. You go to the outskirts of this island all the time, M8. You can see it from from the rivers.
I taken aback. It's just like, my character has gone around this island multiple times. It's his home. He knows it from the back of his hand, but he also remembers only one thing ever standing out besides his island, was these stone walls. He's always been excited to see these, so this is his first thing on his mind. Like, he's taking it all in, and he thinks he knows what he needs to do now. I know what I must do. I will retrieve this seed, but not before making the ones who did it pay.
Good. Don't kill anybody, because that's not our way, but you need to get that seed back. There should be a raft tucked away in the shrubbery on the outskirts of the village to the north.
So, I take my pack one last time. I go up to my other mother, and I give her a little, one-armed hug. I can barely reach around her. I have a little fin for a damn hand. But I give her my little one-finned hug. I pick up my axe for one last time as well. I jump onto Bean, and we make our way to the nearest ferry on this island.
Awesome. So as you're heading out of the town, you look back and you see one last look of Aaliyah holding Emma's hand as Emma's laying there on the ground, and she kind of has a tear going down her eye as she waves at you.
And at this point, this is the first time ever within M8's known life, because he doesn't remember much, that he actually sheds his first tear. This sight, not even the sight, he knows what's happening. He's looking away, but he can feel it for the first time in his life. Sadness and the defeat of this island. And now he's more pushed to do this than ever anything in his life.
Almost tearing up. I feel so bad for M8. So you get to the edge of the island, and sure enough, like Ema said, there you see a little bit of a raft kind of sticking out of the shrubbery just along the shoreline, and it's kind of buried.
This'll do. I'd like to think at this point that I'm taking this little raft because, like I said, I was making myself to a ferry. So I get all my stuff onto this raft. Bean gets onto this raft, and we start making our way across with this little paddle. Bean, and by paddle I mean I'm using my axe. I don't even know if there is a paddle. Never decided to look. And as I'm going away, I'd like to think that there actually is just a ferry not even 5 feet away.
Yeah, there's definitely a ferry, and you see sylphs and stuff getting off in the distance, but you don't really see it because you're just so driven on getting this raft to the other side, and it's probably a good thing because Ema told you that there's a raft. She didn't mention the ferry, so
I just take everything so literally. Yeah. I just went for that one thing that was mentioned to me.
Okay, so after a day's worth of you just doing it and really just paddling with your axe, even Bean seems to pitch in ever so often to kind of try and give you a break because he worries about you. He's got an attachment to you.
Just holds the axe in his mouth and sort of paddles it.
Yeah. You finally arrive at a shoreline and you see a giant stone wall, so tall, taller than you could ever possibly imagine, way taller than you ever thought it would be. Your island was so far away, it looks so small. And now it just seems ginormous. I
give it this little wave salute type of thing. Well, saying goodbye to my home. I have a feeling that I won't be seeing it for a while. This might be the last thing that I can take in from it. In saying this, am I near the gates of this, or is this shoreline near side or back of these walls?
Yeah, no, there is a entrance. It is the harbor entrance where they bring in all their fish and stuff like that. So there is a way that you can get in. You can see that it is heavily guarded by some people in red armor.
Yeah. Okay. I walk up and I do what I do best. Hello, friend. My name is M8, and I would like entrance to your home. And I put out my little thin hand again, going for the classic M8 handshake.
One of the guards is a female guard. She's a female Viera, and she kind of looks down at you with her ears super peaked up, and she just makes her face kind of blushes a little bit, and she's like, "Oh my God, you are the cutest thing I have ever seen." And she bends over and shakes your hand. She's like, "I am so happy to meet you, M8.
Thank you, ma'am. I am here looking for the ones who have wronged me."
Well, this empire is full of people that could have possibly done that. But right now the city is open to any that are welcome. As long as you don't have any serious weapons, I don't think your stick with some metal on it is going to be too much of a threat, especially considering your size. So, yeah, totally, go on in.
At this point, I jump on the bean, and as I'm walking past her, it's like, stick with metal, we'll show her. And she's like, I say it loud enough for her to hear it, but I'm still just walking.
She goes, oh, should I be concerned about that? And then she looks over at the other guard, and she goes, should I be concerned about that? And he's like, nah, I should be fine. It's like, oh, okay.
I'm essentially a little turnip on legs. What's there to be afraid of?
Yeah. All right. So you get into this huge, bustling city. You see like a whole wide range of races that you have never seen before, just kind of moving about. There's people shopping in this massive market. There's a bunch of these little mini like airships kind of flying down the streets. And at the same time, like almost immediately right when you get in, you see a bunch of huge airships kind of come in and start heading towards this giant palace in the back, and like the furthest back part of this city. Yeah.
I think like M8's not necessarily the world's most intelligent being ever, as we have probably taken in at this point, but he is smart enough to know that intel is always important. So I go around and I go around asking, who owns this bustling city? I asked like a random guard near us.
Okay. So how do you approach this random guard?
Same way as always. There's only one way to approach a stranger, because a stranger is always a friend you have not met yet. I walk up and go, hello, guard. My name is M8, and I'd like some information. And I put my hand out.
So this guard is like, he's a Rogadin. This one is a little bit different. He's wearing some orange armor, so not your typical weird-looking armor. It's actually very weird. It's almost like a thin metal with like kind of robes hanging off of it. And he looks down at you and goes, "Oh, aren't you just a tiny little thing? Yeah. Well, what kind of information can I help you with?"
Well, I would like to know who owns this place. You know, the city, the walls, the ones who wronged me, that type of stuff.
I wasn't threatening in any way or shape or form. Well, that would be the leader of Tenshar, MacLeod.
MacLeod. So that is the one that I look for. Maybe he can give me answers on this mean cat thing that decided to attack me.
Well, MacLeod is planning on holding a meeting here soon once all 4 commanders return, which I believe the last one just did. So I imagine we'll be seeing him quite soon.
A public meeting, perhaps?
Most definitely. He'll be up there on that tower. And he points up at like the highest peak of the palace.
I just do like a little 180 on one leg, foot in the air, and I put the other one down. And then I just start making my way for it, and I put my hand up. Thanks for the information, sir. And I keep walking.
Okay. So as you're like heading there through this crowd, you see this old man all of a sudden come out of that tower. He's wearing like these golden red robes, and he looks very stern. Like he doesn't have a very friendly face. And he goes,
"Hello, my loyal subjects. You're probably all wondering why I've decided to gather you all here today. With the help of my commanders, I have managed to acquire all 4 essences of the crystals."
And he holds out his hand, and you see your yellow seed kind of floating around in his hand, as well as some kind of blue ice shard, a red charcoal-looking stone, and a green feather. And he says,
"And with the essence of fire, earth, water, and wind, Zodiark, the rightful ruler, will rise again and create for us a new world."
And the stones go into his hand, and you can hear a loud shatter, and you feel a sharp pain in your chest. However, you notice that nobody else seems to get this sensation. It's just you. Like an intense piercing, as if like something had just driven a knife right into your heart, and you kind of go limp, and time seems to stop.
What a cute little creature he turned out to be. I wonder what other fascinating creatures are going to be joining us on this journey.
tell you a quick little tale about Ton here. He's always been kind of a bit of an outcast. Most Tonberries want to keep to themselves, stay in their own little fishing villages. Fairly xenophobic, to be completely honest. But Ton's always been the kind to go out there and explore and do all the things that other Tonkin don't like doing. This kind of labeled him an outcast, for lack of a better term. They kept him around for the most part because he's very good with mechanical things. He's always able to fix the fishing boats and so on, but after a while he wanted more, so he set off on his own. Unfortunately, a lone Tonberry in the wilderness with a scrap-together rifle that he built from literal scrap is not gonna do too well on his own. So, after a few weeks of just wandering about the water continent, he ran into a group of mercenaries that took him in for a generous finder's fee, shall we say. He didn't make much money off the first while. Unfortunately, his string of bad luck and inability to really communicate and deal with people all seemed to kick in at the same time, and that little mercenary group ended up getting wiped out because their string of bad luck and general inability to properly relate to other species kind of came to a head when that mercenary group was wiped out because, in their words, they didn't pay attention to the stupid smoke signals he created. And because of that, they ended up getting flanked, and he was the only survivor because he was a ways away with his rifle. From there, they just wandered from place to place, guild to guild, mercenary group to mercenary group. No real place to call their home, trying to make friends, and most of them ending up dying horribly because of miscommunication or other problems that arose. At one point, they came across a Hume that didn't handle telepathic communication very well, since that's how Tonberries communicates, telepathically within 30 feet. And they kind of freaked out when they said hello to them, and they came to the assumption that it was because they had too much emotional inflection in their mind voice. So now their mind voice, their telepathy, is completely monotone. They don't show much in the way of emotion, and as with all Tonberry, they have no way of showing facial expressions. So, again, more misunderstandings. Eventually I ended up going overseas, and again, just wandering, joining groups, making enough money to survive off of while they explore and see new things, tinker with new toys. Eventually they end up in the main city of Tenchar, and are just looking for a group to work with. And that's where their story is going to end up beginning.
So, before you guys ended up getting to Tenchar, you heard, or actually on the ship on your way to Tenchar, you hear lots of rumors of a Viera leading an army in purple armor to your water continent that you're so comfortable with. And as you are in Tenchar, one of the mercenary groups kind of tugs on you specifically, and he's like, "Buddy, you gotta come with me to the docks. There's something you really, really gotta see."
They'll just sort of sit there staring at them blankly for a second like the Tonkin do, whereas unshouldering the assault rifle they've managed to scrap money together to get and holding it in their hand. It's kind of that warning of, if you're trying to mug me, this is going to go poorly for you. Which they'll say blatantly to their mind as they go toddling off with them.
Okay. He's like, "Don't worry, but I'm not gonna mug you. You look pretty threatening, so we're on good foot." Takes you to the pier, and he hands you a set of binoculars to look over, and he's kind of like facing towards the water continent. Like, the water continent's not too far off from the Earth continent, so you can see it pretty clearly, especially the ice palace that resides over there. So he hands you the binoculars to look through.
Look through them. They don't really fit Tonberry faces very well, so they're having a bit of trouble with it, obviously, but eventually get it lined up so they can just close one eye and see through.
And so what you see is there's a woman Viera, in this red armor, and she's got a weird sigil on her shoulders, which kind of looks like a rapier kind of thrusting through the air, and looks like she's kind of missing a chunk out of one of her out of her only left ear, I guess. And you see kind of like blood dripping off of her rapier. It's like a little hard to see, but you could tell just from the pigment. And she's kind of walking out of the ice palace, and you see like a group of Tonkins that have been pretty much massacred around her. And she's holding a blue like crystal shard as she boards a sea vessel.
Alright, so if I can make this much out from a set of binoculars, they're definitely within sniping range. So, Ton, without making any noise, because A, they don't make vocal noises, and B, he's not talking to anybody, flips his battered, beaten rifle off of his shoulder, puts the assault rifle back over the other one, adjusts his scope for a bit, takes aim, and takes a shot at the lady.
Make it to hit.
Will a 27 hit her touch AC?
27 does hit her touch AC, Steve.
Okay, that also threatens a crit, so I will roll to confirm.
Okay.
21.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, that'll confirm.
Okay. So, this lady who has no idea this little Tonkin is here, or taking a shot at her, can take 44 points of damage.
Ooh, wow, that's ridiculous. Okay, so the bullet seems to, like, pierce her armor and kind of, like, shoots through her shoulder, and she kind of, like, grabs it, and she looks down, but she, like, doesn't look as phased as you would expect her to look. Like, she's been through enough scraps in her lifetime and probably more experience at fighting than you are. And she looks down. She can't really see you because you're kind of just like a blur. And she just kind of like places her hand over her shoulder and the wound kind of heals and she boards the vessel.
Unfortunately durable. I'll aim for the head next time.
So yeah, the vessel ends up actually heading towards Tenshar.
Well, that was interesting to watch. However, a tiny little gunner should probably not be on the docks when she gets here.
Another guy's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting you to fire, so let's get out of here before they actually notice where this aim came from.
They just toddle off towards one of the taverns near the docks.
So you get into the tavern and you see, like, it's mostly filled with Humes. There's not a whole lot of different variety in terms of race inside this tavern. However, you do see, like, a group of Mughals kind of, like, floating around. And you see, like, one is, like, kind of old and crotchety. And he's, like, getting into a huge argument with this other little blonde-tipped bard Mughal. And you see them, they're, like, constantly arguing and bickering back and forth as they're, like, rummaging around in this tavern. While, like, the other two are just kind of, like, carrying on behind. One of them's like, oh my god, and, like, smacking their head, like, why? And the other one's, like, making flexing poses all the way until they eventually just, like, muddle past you and out the door.
As they go past, he'll just sort of psychically send to them. Still not the strangest group I've seen this week.
So, what do you do while you're in this tavern?
He'll just find a spot to toddle over and sit down and rest his rifle against one side of the wall next to him, take the assault rifle off, rest that against that rifle, pull his flare gun out, set that on the table, and just wait for somebody to come over and take an order.
A waiter comes over and he leans down and he goes, "What can I get for you, bub?"
Let's see. I'll take a flagon of ale, and what do you have for fish?
We got our famous seawater trout.
Alright, I'll take that then. Slides some gill across the table to him to pay for his meal.
And he scoops it up and, like, kind of looks at it and puts it into his pocket. And he goes and fetches you your drink and slides it down the bar.
It's a good thing this Tonberry is super dexterous because they got tiny little flipper hands with itty-bitty fingers on them. So he actually snap up to grab the flagon as it almost goes sliding past him.
It's like, oh shit.
It looks remarkably agile, though, compared to what you would expect from something that toddles as slowly as a Tonkin does. Now, anybody who's watching is probably going to be a little weirded out, because Tonkins don't have mouths.
Yeah, they're, like, kind of confused what you're going to do with your drink.
They eat through osmosis. So he just kind of tilts it up to his mouth where the mouth should be, and it just starts to absorb.
So, like, you see one person beside you kind of, like, gag a little bit. Everybody else is, like, very fascinated.
They'll just look over at the guy who's gagging, tilt their head for a second and go, "At least I don't make disgusting mouth noises." Mouth breather.
Good point. He's not even offended by this. You start hearing some, like, murmurs kind of coming from the tavern of how the Emperor MacLeod is going to be giving a live audience today. Apparently he's made some kind of huge discovery, and it should be happening any moment. And upon that, you hear kind of like a crowd yelling outside, and you kind of hear like a loud voice say something. Do you do anything?
Yeah, I'll kind of sigh, say he'll be back for his food, get all of his weapons back on his person, sling the assault rifle into his hands, and go running outside to check to see what's going on. Since this could be one of two things. Either somebody's being attacked and somebody needs to intervene, or some sort of dumb announcement.
So yeah, you get out there just at the end of the Emperor's announcement, and you see him holding like 4 unique items in his hand. They're kind of like floating, and he's standing at like the highest peak of the palace. And one of those items is that blue shard or ice shard that you saw the Vieira holding, and you also see a seed that has kind of a yellow aura around it, a feather with a green aura around it, and a kind of charcoal-looking stone with a red aura. And they kind of sink into the palm of his hand, and he clenches it, and they shatter. And you feel this intense, sharp pain hit you in the chest, and it pretty much brings you straight down to your knees. And at that moment, time ceases. Like, everybody seems to stop except for you. And that's where we're going to end it there.
Wow. A murderous Tonberry. Who would have thought in a million years that a Tonberry would have a gun? It sounds like he's going to be a pretty interesting character to me. Hey there, hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. This is just going to be our little middle segment that we're going to pop in here for so often. Just to let you know where our music is from, our intro is from Nick Schommer. He's actually one of the players from Roaring Trainers. If you haven't listened to it, absolutely great podcast, and he designed this himself. So if you really like it, I would say hit him up. He's absolutely amazing. You can find him on Twitter at Sendorin1. He's absolutely amazing. Really nice guy. Also, all our other music is from incompetech.com. Check it out. It's a great site. It's wonderful. All their stuff is free. Some stuff you can buy if you really want to get into it. But for all you starter podcasters, great place to go. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on MP Enough on Twitter. That's the only thing I have up right now. I will be putting together a email so you guys can send us any fan art, or if you want to talk to us personally. On our next episode, you'll meet all our actual players and their names. They will let you know where you can find them on Twitter so you can socialize with us, mingle, get to know us a little bit better. We want to get to know you. If you guys haven't noticed, there's probably some sound quality, some editing issues. I am brand new at this, so just bear with us. We're still working out all the kinks. I don't know editing very well, so I'm sorry. I'm literally just winging this and going off of YouTube tutorials on how to edit. So stick around, it'll get better. I will get better. And please don't just ditch us after the first session of all my really poor editing. I'm so sorry. I'm working on it. Please don't hate me. Plus, M8, he's adorable. You don't want to stop listening to that cute little guy. But yeah, so really, if you guys are enjoying the show, it's awesome. We don't have any Patreon set up. Hopefully you can find this on Spotify. Google Play should hopefully be set up, and iTunes. Hopefully I should have it set up by the next week or so. And then you can also probably find us on Podbean. I'll try and get it set up on there as well. So hopefully I can hear from you guys soon. Leave us likes, even some reviews. 1-star review, that's fine. Just let me know where I've made mistakes, which I'm sure there are plenty at the moment. If it's a 5-star review, great. And we'll have our own little segments later on in the future where we will probably review some of your reviews, or I guess comment on them, post them. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Still getting there. Still working on it. Once again, thanks for all listening. I'll let you get back to the show. Bye. Next up, we have another unique one. A lovely woman with some wings.
Leandra is part of a group of Aegel, who are white mages traveling to bring healing to any that need it. She joined the group feeling as though it would bring some adventure to her life. She was raised to give everyone a chance, even after years of sky pirates invading her homeland. The group tries to travel to all different lands in hope of helping anyone. Having traveled for a while, she's able to pick up a few different languages than what they normally know. Iris is a high-level white mage that leads the group through good and bad time, because not all people are welcoming of outsiders. Most of the group are made up of Aegel, but they welcome anyone who are looking to heal. Some of the group have broken off to stay in towns or cities that need a healer. Some have chosen to join a group that are going on a quest, while the rest of the group rests in a town. The group have been in the main city for a few days, recovering from the travel and offering their services.
So right now you are in Kohala. So this place has a bunch of kind of windmills, and it's most of their houses are made of straw and no really like strong materials. Surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of wind up here. There's a protective barrier to keep that type of stuff from happening. However, like people can come in and out of that barrier no problem. Same with like ships and all that type of stuff. So walk me through what Leandra's day. Like she just woke up and she's about to start her day.
So Leandra has just woken up. She stretches, gets up, kind of meanders around her little building for a little while, her room, just collecting her supplies, double checking her healing kits, just to make sure that they are full, make sure everything's in order.
As you're like putting all your materials inside this case, you hear an explosion kind of come from outside, and it kind of sounds like it was coming from the temple that was created for Garuda.
She will then be in a panic, throwing all of her stuff into a bag and getting out to go see if anyone needs help.
So once you get out there, you see Iris is already kind of like out there as well, kind of panicky and huffy. What does Iris look like?
Just white wings. She stands a little bit taller than any other one. Kind of looks almost like royalty half the time.
She's like, puts her hand on your shoulder, like as if to gesture you not to go any further. Like she can sense a strong aura coming from that temple, and from that temple you see a female Gria with a shaved head and a tribal tattoo on the right side of her face. Her wings and horns are a blood red. She's wearing a purple monk robe with an insignia of a demon hand making a fist on the center of the back. So that Gria comes out of this temple and she's holding a feather, and the feather is kind of letting out this green aura off of it. She's left like a huge destruction behind her from the temple. Like she's pretty much destroyed it in search of this feather, and she starts heading towards an airship that seems to be waiting by.
I will look at Iris and be like, there are people that need help. We can't just leave them.
I know, but if we go in now, we're only risking our own lives, and we won't be able to save anybody.
What are we just going to do? Stand here?
We'll wait until the ship leaves, and then we'll rush in. We don't want to create any more conflict than we need.
I'm going to shake my head and just look at her. Like, she's the leader. I can't argue with her, but I just feel devastated I can't help.
Like, she can pick up on this, and she looks at you and she goes, I understand, and I know that how you feel. I feel the same way, but I would not want to risk anybody from the Wings of Eden I can't do it. I don't think I could handle that.
Was anyone staying at the temple tonight, though?
No, the only person that was in there was probably a couple of the priests. They're pretty skilled in protective magic. If anything, they'll probably only have a few bumps and bruises.
Well, she's just still distraught about this.
So as like you're like frantically like wanting to get in there, the ship finally starts to take off, and you just see Iris. She just like a blink of light, she was already gone and heading towards the temple.
Then I will be following her.
So once you get into the temple, like she's frantically looking around. She's using some of her magic to like levitate the rubble up off the ground and like toss it off to the side. And you see a couple Numao kind of come out of the back, and they're kind of have like this orb around them. And they're like, don't worry, we're okay. We sensed her coming, and we managed to put a protective spell over ourselves.
Well, what was she after? Why did she destroy so much for something so, like, small?
That feather given to us by Garuda herself. It's a most valued, treasured item. It's said to hold the soul of the Windstone.
And it was just left, just in a temple?
We weren't aware of its true power until she arrived, and she basically gives a whole monologue spiel about it as she was taking it. But we tried to protect it the best we could. We put protective spells around it. We hid its essence. Like, nobody should have been able to detect it except for people who were devout followers of Garuda, and she was not. How she came to know of its whereabouts is beyond me.
Is there anyone here that's hurt? Do you need any healing?
Three main priests seem to be okay, but they look over and they see female Egel. She's a young one, like in her early teens, and she came in there to pray, and the Numo didn't notice that she was in there, and you see that she's kind of sticking out of the rubble, and she's looking a little banged up.
I will instantly fly over there and offer her a cure.
She seems to be unconscious.
Well, I'm still gonna cure her, and I'll do a heal check to see how bad she is. I'll do the heal check first. 18 heal check.
Yeah, she's like on the brink of death, like 1 HP away.
Then I am doing a cure on her, which is 15 points of hit points.
Once you do that, that healing aura goes into her body, and you see like her flesh kind of get a little bit more color to it again, and her eyes slowly begin to open as she coughs up a little bit of blood, and her eyes start to brim with tears as she looks into yours.
Are you okay? What happened?
I just came in here to pray to my parents. They both left me. I just wanted to tell them how my day went. I didn't think this would happen. I know I'm not supposed to come in here when it's closed, but I had to talk to them.
The temple should never be closed to anyone. I'm pretty sure it's almost always open for those who need to pray. She'll sit on the ground, well, observing around the rubble to see if there's anyone else, but kind of comfort the other person.
I was told that the Numa had to do a type of baptism, I guess, so that's why I wasn't supposed to be in here. They were getting things prepped and ready, but I really had to talk to them.
I'm sure they will forgive you.
And she kind of like throws her arms around your neck.
I will embrace her with a hug and wings.
Aw. She's like, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Leandra.
Leandra, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for helping me. I didn't want to let my parents down. I know they wouldn't want me to go that soon.
No, you will live a happy, long life. Never be afraid of anything. Always soldier on through, no matter what.
Thank you. My name is Trish, by the way.
Trish, you, maybe stay out of temples when they're closed, but you know what? You can always pray to them wherever you are, not necessarily in a temple.
I will. Thank you again. And she, kind of brushes her rubble off, and she starts kind of, hovering towards, a little mini hut that you see off in the distance.
Alright, I'll stand up, still looking around, maybe there are other people that snuck in too. Want to make a perception check?
Sure.
Perception check. It's a 24.
Oh, wow. So it doesn't look like anybody else is in here, but you see, the new Mao are kind of, huddled together, and they're whispering to each other. And they look a little paranoid and nervous.
What is Iris doing at the moment?
Iris is kind of, gathering the people that are on the outside of the temple, and just kind of, checking up on them, making sure that they're doing okay, in case, the debris kind of, caused them any problems. And she's just trying to kind of calm the crowd, because everybody's being a little bit more frantic right now.
Okay, so I will walk over to the priests and ask them if they know any other information.
Yeah, that Gria that attacked us. It was one of the 4 leading commanders of Tenshar. She goes by the name of Treya. If anything, this is probably an act of war. Either way, we need to get that feather back. You don't know what it'll do in the hands of the Tensharan Empire.
Where would they be taking it, do you know?
They'd probably be taking it back to MacLeod in Tenshar.
Alright, I'll pass this information on to Iris, and I don't know what necessarily healers can do, but maybe we can find a group going there and maybe aid them in retrieving it.
So when you go and reveal this to Iris, she turns to you and goes, luckily we already have a group stationed down in Tenshar, but I think you should go and assist them. You've witnessed what's here. You can relay some information to them. I'm going to take the other troops, and I heard there was movements to the other continents, and I'm going to see what I can do to help those ones.
Alright, I'll do my best, and I'll try to keep in touch.
Thank you.
I will give her a hug, because she is like a big sister to me.
She hugs you right back, and she also gives you a little amulet.
Alright, I will place the amulet on. After detect magic. Can't even talk. Magicking it.
It does radiate a little bit of magic.
Alright, well, I don't know what it is. Can I spellcraft it?
Yep.
Spellcraft. 19.
Okay, so this is a unique item that I created myself. It's called a Amulet of Protector's Grace. And if you fall unconscious once per day, it will heal you for 1d8 points of damage.
I will thank her for the protection amulet.
Of course. You've been with us a very long time. Like I said, I don't know what I would do if anything were to happen to you.
I'll make sure to try to stay out of harm's way, but if you hadn't stopped me, I would have been going immediately to the temple.
I know, and just remember when you're out there, don't do anything I wouldn't do. You're smarter than that.
You would do a lot of things, though, that you say that I shouldn't do.
Do as you're told, not as I do. So I imagine you take flight and start heading down to the Earth continent?
Yes, I will start. How far is the Earth continent?
It's about a half a day's flight.
Yeah, I will start heading towards there.
Okay, so once you start flying down, after about half a day has passed, you start coming towards these giant stone walls, really, really tall walls, enough to keep giants out. And then you see a giant palace kind of at the back end of the walls, and you see a man kind of holding up these 4 items in his hand. You only get a quick glimpse of them before they go into his hand, and he seems to crush them because you're like just above the town. One of those items was the feather that had the green aura on it. The other 3 items were a seed with a yellow aura, a charcoal looking rock with a red aura, and a blue ice shard with a blue aura around it.
I will swear to myself.
Okay. And as soon as he crushes them, you feel a sharp, intense pain like hit you right in the chest, and you go plummeting down into the center of the city. So make a reflex save.
I will also cast Chokewill Feather on myself as immediate action, so I don't take any fall damage, but I'll make the reflex save anyways. Reflex is 18.
When you go crashing to the ground, since you don't take that fall damage, you actually manage to land very gracefully. You've had your experience falling from the sky a few times. You managed to like catch yourself, and that intense pain doesn't seem to be lifting, and you notice that nobody in the town is moving, like as if time had completely stopped, and we'll leave it there.
I just want to say, that can't be a good thing.
No, definitely not a good thing.
That's 3 out of 4 of our characters down. The last one hails from the Fire Continent. He's a little bit more of a feistier being. Not quite as feisty as M8, but I'm sure you'll enjoy him just as much.
Insta's Journal. The Beginning. My name is Instukzigi. Most people call me Inst. I grew up in a monastery. The Temple of Soaring Mind had some of the greatest monks in Valeran. The friars tried their best to teach us how to use the mind to solve problems. I tried hard, but I never quite got it. I was always better at the physical solutions. The Grand Master Splinter always treated me with respect and love. I owe him everything. The monastery was filled with all ages and races. Banga, like me. Rogadin, Ronsos. All ages came to learn to grow. Most of the students listened and learned to use their abilities for good. Unfortunately, one Ronso named Amra wanted only power and self-gratification. He would beat younger students beyond submission. The tales of his merciless ferocity began to spread around the monastery. Finally, the story reached me that he cornered a youngling who had received praise from one of the friars. He beat that child into a coma. At that point, I knew it was my responsibility to punish him for his deeds. I found Amra in his room and gave him the justice he so deserved. I wanted to leave him in the same state he left that child, but instead I shattered his hands beyond repair. As I left Amra's room, I found the Grand Master waiting for me. I expected anger and the retribution I deserved, but all I received were tears and disappointment. That form of punishment is not our way. You can no longer stay here, he told me. We went to his chambers where he packed rations, money, and journals in a bag for me. There were journals to read and continue my studies, and a journal to document my travels. Finally, he removed the medallion from around his neck and placed it around mine and whispered, "For when you are ready to come home, my son." He took me from the grounds through a private tunnel, and now I travel the world looking to better myself. But know this, if you commit evil, I will find you, and I will give you the punishment you deserve.
Okay, so where is Inst right now?
Inst has left the monastery. He's just kind of wandering right now. He's looking for a way to get as far away from the monastery as possible.
Okay. So I imagine the monastery is probably in the main city on the Fire Continent, right?
Yeah, it's in Valeran, sorry.
So Inst, you are now currently in Clarum. It's a small oasis village, and right now you're just kind of taking a break, trying to rehydrate yourself because you're on a really hot continent, and even though you're kind of a scaly creature, you're still not quite adjusted to it yet. So what are you doing right now in this village?
Well, mostly I'm trying to connect with monks or, somebody kind of pious, somebody that uses their mind a lot, because I always want to learn just how to not be violence is the first action. I want to learn from as many people as I can how to meditate through something, to think my way through things, not just punch my way through things.
Okay. So as you're kind of walking around this village, you do see a older looking, another Banga kind of. He's really old. He's got like a huge scar on the side of his face. He's wearing your traditional monk robes as well, and kind of looks like his other eye on his left side of his face is kind of glossed over and kind of gray, as if he's almost lost sight out of it. Anything you wish to do with that?
I'm going to go up to him. I'm going to say, "Honored elder, you do me honor with your presence. I feel that any abilities that you have to teach me or meditation techniques that I could learn from you would greatly enhance my abilities and teach me to better myself.
Yes. I see you also train in the arts of the fists. However, I see that deep down inside you that you seem to be holding back from your faith.
I have troubles with the mind. My first ability is to punch, and that's not really what I want to be able to do. I would rather return to my monastery and teach others in the wisdom of the mind rather than the strength of the fist.
Well, I don't know how much I can teach you in ways to return. However, I can teach you all that I have learned over the years. However, I fear that something dark is about to come our way. Spend at least a couple days with me in this oasis, and I can at least teach you a trick of the mind to help you with better focus.
I would be honored.
And he stands up. He pulls out like his tail and like kind of whips it around to the side, and you see it like kind of straighten up, and he seems to be using it as a walking stick almost. And he takes kind of like gestures for you to follow him.
Honored elder, what may I call you?
You may call me Ido. He takes you to like this old, run-down like straw hut. It looks like it's pretty much on its last limbs. Like a small gust of wind would probably bring this thing down. You're surprised that one probably hasn't yet. And so he like opens up the door and gestures for you to come inside.
I slowly bow before I come into his house and thank him for the honor of being allowed into his home.
So once you get inside, you notice that it's like doesn't really have anything. Like he doesn't seem to have chairs. He has some pillows that he probably sits on, and his bed is pretty much just some blankets kind of sprawled out on the floor on one side. And he goes over and like reaches into this really kind of shoddy looking cupboard and pulls out another blanket and sprawls it out on the other side of the floor. And he goes, "That is where you will stay for your time that you are here."
Again, you do me honor.
We're going to fast forward a little bit and say like a couple weeks has passed where you're trained with this guy, and you learn, he teaches you a technique called draining fist. It's just something that after focusing a lot of time and effort and energy, you're able to, once you hit a target, you're able to take some of that strength that you've taken from them back. It's just kind of like you're absorbing their chakra energy. After these 2 weeks, you've developed like such a pretty decent bond with him. Like he seems to have opened up to you quite drastically. You haven't quite nailed down this technique yet. Like it's not up to his standards. Like when he punches a tree, you see like that tree almost like wilt instantly. Like he's drained all that chakra from it. When you hit it, a couple leaves go yellow. So it's going to take some time. There's also a old temple that resides here. It's an old temple devout to Ifrit. It's the one that you can see that's been abandoned. People seem to have cast him aside over the years. You start hearing some like helicopters overhead. It's like pretty late at night. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to make sure that Elder Ido is okay, that he's settled in his bed.
So once you open up your eyes from the noise and you look over to Ido's bed, you notice that the sheets have been pulled back. He's not in his bed, and you see that the door is kind of to the outside. It's been open ajar.
I'm going to go look for him.
So you go outside. You're looking around, and you notice that he's not really in the immediate vicinity. This Oasis Village isn't too big, but you do know that he is very fond of the Oasis Pond. He's also very fond of the temple, and he's also very fond of the grave site. So if he was to ever be in somewhere inside this village, he's probably in one of those three spots.
I'm going to start with the pond. I feel a pond is pretty calming and stuff. So
you get to the pond. Make a perception check.
24.
Okay. You're looking around. You don't really see anything, but you do hear some like rustling in bushes just on the other side of the pond.
Elder Ido, is that you?
It doesn't seem to be any response, but the rustling stops.
I'll go and try to look to see what was making the rustling. Is it actually like in the pond or just on the edge of the pond?
on the other side of the pond, there's some like little hedges there, and it seems to be coming from within inside the hedges.
So it would take me a bit to walk around the pond then?
Not very long.
Okay, yeah, let's walk around and see what the rustling is.
So when you go and investigate the rustling, you peek your head in, and you see two kind of pom-poms poke out, and you see two Moogles, actually, a male one and a female one, kind of making out, and they seem very startled that you've intruded on their privacy. Yeah, just like, they're just stuttering, and they don't really know how to react. They just like, as if they're not supposed to be together. They're just afraid that they've been found out.
Forgive me, I mean no intrusion. Perhaps it would be best if you seek another spot, though.
We've been making out here for, like, months so that her father doesn't find out, because he absolutely hates me. And we've never had anybody intrude on us before. I mean, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, now you've been found out. It's best that you find a new spot.
Yeah, of course. Just don't tell her father. They both kind of float off.
Let's go check out the temple then.
So on your way to the temple, once again, make another perception check.
That's an 11.
So even with an 11, you kind of hear some loud commotion kind of coming from the temple just down the way. It's still kind of out of sight, and you kind of hear some yelling, some fighting seems to be going on down there. You hear a familiar voice, except it sounds a little bit more scraggly. It's like, you can't take it. It's part of the temple. Then you hear a loud thud as if something hit the ground.
I'm going to move a lot faster, like run.
So once you get to the temple, Master Ito is sprawled out on the dirt. He's looking a little more worse for wear than he normally does. And standing at the temple entrance, you see a Rogadin, and he's wearing white robes. They have like an orange trim kind of going around them, and he's got like weird little side satchels as if it holds like a deck of cards. He's like a big, brawly looking man, and he's got, when he's kind of like smiling, you see he's got like a gold tooth. His tail has a gold ring around it as well. He also has some like finger guard kind of that seem to grasp around into a bracelet. It's like, ha, you foul fool. Do you know how much money this thing can net me? The Emperor has requested this item, and I will bring it to him post-haste. The money in this is going to be just absolutely amazing.
Well, my first concern is for Elder Ito. I'd go to check him to see if he's okay.
He goes, you must not combat with this man. He's far beyond your abilities. He's even managed to bring me to my knees.
What would you have me do?
You must get out of here while you can. But he's got a special stone that is very important to the shrine. If he were to do anything to it, it could bring the end to this world.
I'm going to try to pick up Master Ito and drag him back out of the temple.
So as you start like dragging him away, the man goes, "Ha! Like you going to be able to take my quarry so easily." And he pulls out his deck of cards, and the cards start floating around his hands, and they look like they're made out of metal, and one lands between his fingers, and he seems to hurl it. And you all of a sudden feel blood kind of splatter up the side of your face.
I look to Master Ito.
You see that the card had pretty much cut through his neck, and is now pierced into the ground, and Master Ito's like arm seems to have gone limp.
Is he still alive?
Do a heal check.
That's an 8.
Judging from the amount of blood that you can see and the massive gash on his throat, you could safely assume that he is probably not alive. And if for some reason he is alive, he probably does not have a whole lot of time left.
You know what? He's just killed my elder. I'm going to make an attack for him. You killed my master! You killed my teacher! So I never really lose my sanity or anything like that. I know he needs to be hurt. Mm-hmm. He's hurt Elder Ito, so he needs to be hurt back. So I'm silent. I'm grim. I'm stoic, I think is the word. I just rush him with energy and hatred, but I don't scream. I'm calm, right? If you can be calm and angry all at the same time. Just intense. That's the best word for it. I'm intense.
Okay.
I want to do the damage to him that he's done to Elder Ito.
Okay. So make your attack.
22.
So you go and throw your punch, and he just kind of seems to be standing there like he's about ready to just take it. So roll your damage.
That's 11.
So yeah, you like punch him square in the face, and he just kind of like, his head doesn't even tilt, doesn't even turn, kind of like takes the punch. And you notice that he has kind of an insignia part on his chest piece that he's wearing. It's an insignia of, almost looks like a card, but it has all 4 suits placed on the front in kind of a circular fashion. And it clicks like in the back of your head because you've been traveling a lot. You managed to gather some information, and you know this man to be the commander of the 4 suits, one of the Terrarian Empire's lead 4 commanders. His name is Volkragen. So once you've punched him, it instantly like kind of reflects on you, just like this man's got a huge record of just like onslaught and stuff like that, because he is a gambling man. Like, he will throw his life on the line if it means that he can bring in a little bit of extra bucks no matter how threatening the thing is. So once you've punched him, he like kind of picks you up by the throat. It's a net 20 on my CMB check versus your CMD, and he like just lifts you off the ground. He's like, how about I give you a scar to match that of your fallen master? And he throws you to the ground, and as he throws you, one of the cards kind of slides off his wrist and like slashes you upside the face, and you go plummeting to the ground. And the scar is literally like in almost the exact same spot as Master Yito's was.
It doesn't matter. I've got to take him down. I'm going to attack him again.
Okay, so you get back up and you rush him.
24 again.
Okay, yeah, so roll your damage.
Yeah, that's 13.
So this time, like, when you crack him in the face, his nose kind of starts to bleed a little bit. He's not very happy about this. This is the first time that anybody's actually managed to at least give him blood. He's got a few cuts before, but nobody's ever actually made his nose bleed, because that's a moneymaker. Like, nobody hurts his beautiful face. So a little bit more pissed off this time. He once again lifts you up by the throat, lifts you up off the ground, throws you. This time you go a little bit further. You end up like skating across the ground, and as you're skating across the ground, you come face to face with Master Yito. Like, you're looking basically right dead in his eyes. And by the time you get back up, you go and attempt to rush him again. You see that he started walking away, and he's basically climbing onto an airship that's kind of sitting and waiting by the temple.
I'm going to yell at him. Volkragen, I will find you. I will ret out the punishment that you solely deserve for killing Elder Ito.
And he turns to you and he's like, I'll put 10 to 1 odds that I come out on top. And he gets onto his ship. So yeah, as he's leaving, you see on the side of the ship is a 10 Shar symbol, the main city that's on the Terra continent.
I need to find a way to get there. First, I'm going to take Elder Ito back to his hut, and I'm going to place him in his blankets. I'm going to push the hut over, basically collapse it in on itself, and burn it.
So yeah, once you do that, I imagine you like stand there and have a moment of silence for him as well. Start heading out. So where are you going to go and find out how you can get there?
Well, it seems to me that the best way to get to another place is to join a group that's traveling. Because there's no way I'm going to get there by myself, because I have no idea where I'm going. Growing up in the monastery all the time. I've heard of groups of traveling, sort of like gypsies. I'm thinking perhaps I can join them, like they do the whole side shows, tell your future. Oh, here's the strong man. Come fight this guy, see if, you can beat him and make some money. I think probably that would be my best ways to join a troop like that. Be the, the guy, come fight this guy, win some money, help me to train a little bit, and hopefully get me to the continent where I need to go.
Since you've heard of these traveling circus, you were able to find them pretty easily. You find the leader of the traveling circus, and it's called the Opellos. So when you get there, see a very familiar Moogle. It's the male that you stumbled upon. And you see that he's lifting up like some dumbbells with like one arm. Dumbbells are probably about 3 times his size.
Strong little bugger. I'm going to approach him and ask him who runs this traveling troupe of people or creatures or...
Oh shit, it's you. You're not here to like tell her father, are you?
It depends. If you help me, tell her father what?
Right, follow me. And he drops the dumbbells and you just hear like a squeak. He takes you into this really blue looking tent, and you get in there and you see this blue looking fish like being. He turns around and he goes, oh hi! What brings you here?
Good morning. My name is Inst. I wish to travel with your troop to hopefully at some point reach the continent of Terra.
Oh! Yes, that'd be good. We actually heading there.
Excellent. I can do whatever you need. I can pack stuff. I can perform in the ring if you need perhaps a fighting guy.
Yes, we could use a guy to, be beaten up by this little guy. He points down at the Moogle.
Yeah, we can see how that goes, but I'm willing to help out however I can.
Oh, good, because he definitely needs a guy to take the falls. So, you have your own transportation?
No, unfortunately, that's why I seek someone to travel with.
Okay, well, you're going to have to ride the Zoo Puff.
I can do that, I hope.
Within a couple hours, he takes you to this giant shoe puff. I've seen a few shoe puffs because they normally hang around the oasis, and this one is like ginormous. He's way bigger than any shoe puff you have ever seen. It looks like they've been feeding him like all the steroids. Okay, so you are going to be riding this shoe puff. His name is Bill. So a couple of days pass going through the ocean heading towards the Terra continent. Once you get to the Terra continent, you get into this big, bustling city surrounded by this giant stone wall, as if it's like really trying to keep people out. Right now, they're letting a lot of people in because it's supposedly the Emperor is supposed to be holding a big announcement later this evening. Hence why you guys are all here. Apparently, you're supposed to be putting on a big show for this all the citizens. You learn that the head fellow you've been traveling with, his name is Opa. So yeah, it's getting close to like the show time, and he's like comes up to you and he goes, you need to go and get everything ready. Can you feed the shoe puffs?
Of course.
Thank you. Also, I need you to make sure that all the instruments are up to snuff, so please do not break them like you did last time.
Instruments aren't my thing.
Okay, so as you're like feeding the shoe puffs, you hear a kind of a loud voice kind of coming from outside.
Am I fed the shoe puffs yet?
Yeah, you have fed the shoe puffs.
Instruments I'm not quite so worried about, but as long as I sort of got them out, I'll go see what the big commotion is.
So once you get outside, you see this old man standing at the top of the palace towers. Seems like he had just finished his speech, and he's wearing like these nice golden robes. As you walk out there, you just see 4 items kind of floating around the center of his hand. Sorry for everybody that's heard this before, because I've repeated this 4 times now. You see a green feather, or a feather with a green aura glowing off of it, a seed with a yellow aura, a blue crystal, the blue aura, and a black charcoal looking item with a red aura glowing around it. You did see that red stone inside the Rogadin's hands when you did encounter him. And the old man clenches his hands and these 4 items go into the center of his hands, and you hear a shattering noise. And at that very moment, you feel a very sharp pain in the center of your chest, and you end up dropping down to one knee. This is like a pain that you've never experienced before. And you notice that time seems to come to a complete stop. Everybody seems to be not moving except for you. You seem to be able to be moving. And
Hi all, I've been your GM Nick. Thank you all for listening. I hope you stick around to see what awaits our heroes next on Not Enough MP. Thanks again for listening, and have a wonderful night, or morning, or day, whatever time you're listening to this. Bye!